and welcome to the Inside Connection podcast powered by MediConnect Insurance. I am Sean Horn, and we've been at this for a few weeks now, getting out there talking about Medicare at a high level, making sure that the people that we are engaging with, our audience, can really understand this very confusing program at an elementary level so they can make clear decisions. And if you're joining us for the first time, MediConnect is the state's top-rated Medicare advisory firm, meaning that we help many people throughout the state of Pennsylvania to make sure that they're making clean and clear decisions with their health care as they enter retirement or their senior years. And we take great pride in being able to provide education after building a relationship with our clientele. And typically this time of year, heading into the summertime, is usually a quiet time inside the Medicare industry. But my friend that I have with me today says, au contraire, mon frere. We are very busy right now. So without further ado, I would love to have the opportunity to introduce my great friend, the amazing Lauren Yuran. Lauren, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Sean, for having me. I'm so excited to be here and a part of the podcast today. What are we talking about?
Well, before we get into exactly what's at stake here for Medicare and what people should be planning on, I'd like to give the opportunity for you to talk a little bit more about your vast wealth of experience, because even though you have that youthful look and energy about you, you've been at this for quite a while. So let's talk a little bit about your experience in the industry and, eventually how you got to MediConnect.
Absolutely. Hard to believe, but I started out in 2011 as a temp with one of the other carriers. So my history is with some of the carriers. I worked for Gateway Health Plan, now rebranded to Highmark Whole Care, at the beginning of my career. And I did a lot of different things there. I worked in the agent services side. So I helped agents when they had questions about the plans. I handled commissions. I handled contracts. Then I got licensed and I worked with clients and members and really helped people resolve issues when it came to losing medical assistance and things of that nature. I was there for about 3.5 years. And then I took a role with United Healthcare. I was there for about 7 years, almost 8. And I was a broker manager. So in that role, I handled 34 counties, approximately about 1,100 reps that I managed over, and really just grew inside the industry, got a lot of different experience. Neat to work for a local carrier as well as a very national carrier, the largest insurer in the Medicare space in the nation. So I've had a vast amount of experience and gotten to see a lot of things from a lot of different sides.
As a matter of fact, you were my broker manager for United Healthcare when I was a lot more, client-facing in my previous life. So had obviously a long-standing relationship here with you. And, what I really want to kind of get to at this point is why MediConnect? Why did you make the change to come over to this side where, again, you're more client-facing instead of agent-facing? You're going from a conglomerate, a major insurer in the Medicare industry to here, a Pittsburgh-based local small company that's, again, getting out there in front of people.
Well, Sean, like you said, I was your broker manager, so I knew you, right? So I came here. No, well, there's other reasons as well, but it's fantastic to work with Sean. There's several reasons. So when I was looking for that change, I was thinking about coming out of that space with one carrier. When you work for one carrier or one company, you can only represent that carrier.
Right.
And I just felt, seeing that, there were people I couldn't help. There were people where maybe their providers or their prescriptions or whatever services that they were needing maybe didn't line up with that specific company, and I couldn't advise them otherwise. So, sometimes I was feeling trapped in that sense, and also, wanting to expand over to this side. But picking MediConnect specifically, I just had a long-standing relationship with the group here. From my first days, even at Gateway Health Plan, knowing the group, I really was wanting to come somewhere that was educationally based, because I think that's really important to understanding Medicare. You have to understand what you're enrolling for, and we really lead education first. So that was something also, extremely important to me. But again, I wanted to be more impactful as well with the agents that I manage. Driving around to 34 counties and having all those folks, sometimes, again, I felt like I could not help people at the level they needed help, whether it was an agent or a client. So getting to come here and really hone in on the agents and help them, improve their strengths, right? And just really see them conquer, become stronger in this industry has been something just extremely important and extremely satisfying to me.
So it's worth admitting that you are our associate manager, meaning that you train, develop, recruit, and get our agents very, very active in the Medicare space to make sure that they're getting out and helping as many people as possible. So, with that rule, again, you've gotten out to see quite a few people with riding along with our agents and everything. So, we're certainly thrilled to have you as a teammate here. Again, can't speak any higher of you than how I feel. But as we get ready for the summer months, we found here we are in Pittsburgh. We actually have some sunshine, believe it or not. Weather is beautiful. Flowers are blooming. So in our industry, historically speaking, and you can speak to this on the carrier side, this is usually the quiet time of year for those who run Medicare. Things are, the TV commercials aren't as populous. The mailbox isn't overflowing with information just yet. But you were telling me before we came on this morning that it's still quite busy for us. We're helping dozens and dozens of people each and every day with their Medicare decisions. So let's talk a little bit about the fact that the period of time we're in right now, we're beyond the initial and final ruling. We're ahead of the annual enrollment period. So in this law, what are we working on? What are you seeing on a daily basis?
Well, what I'm seeing on the daily basis with the agents, and it's definitely worth mentioning, is that we have so many things that we need to do to get ready for that annual enrollment period,
True.
right? So there's certifications, there's making sure your CE credits for your license are ready to go. Also, this is the time of year that I can regroup, retrain, spend time learning different things. And as you mentioned, we're still busy with helping consumers. We have folks that have medical care and medical assistance that can change throughout the year. We have 5-star plans available in our area, and there's savings out there to be had. There's people out there to help. So, there's a lot of moving pieces because we have to be still continuing to help all these folks, but also gearing up and getting ready for the annual enrollment period and getting all those T's crossed, I's dotted with the documents and everything that we need to get completed.
And you talked a little bit about, and we've spent some time on this very podcast going over the Medicaid redetermination, which is happening as a result of, the COVID spending kind of coming to an end and states kind of regrouping and trying to, see if people are no longer eligible to kind of recoup some of that. The 5-star plan information, not sure if everybody knows, but with the 5-star plan, you can enroll into that coverage any type of year or any time of year, excuse me. So if you're upset with your plan right now, the very first of the next month, you could have new coverage that may get you access to, better prescription coverage, dental, vision, hair, all those sorts of things. But we're also talking a lot to people who are new to Medicare for the first time, right?
Absolutely.
And we're hitting them in droves based off of our, we have our radio show that we do every single week. We have our in-person seminars. There are people that are just reaching out to us directly saying, hey, I can't attend all these events. Can you just give me that education one-on-one? So let's talk a little bit about that because, again, that's where we're making a lot of headway with making sure people aren't making mistakes right out the gate, which we're going to talk a lot about in the next segment as well. But what are some of the things that you have noticed in your time of helping our advisors grow and develop that you're like, okay, wait a minute, maybe we need to spend a little bit more time talking about this particular segment of Medicare?
I think, again, when you get to the educational portion of things, where folks are making that decision of Advantage versus supplement plan, the choice that they make entering onto Medicare for the first time, it's just the way that you're breaking it down and explaining it to folks so they can make their own decision and make a strong decision. Just the other day I had a husband and wife here that one wants to go one way, one wants to go the other way, which is okay. You can have different plans, but it has to be the appropriate fit to your needs, and just honing in and getting ourselves the experience of the education so we can really explain this extremely confusing situation to clients, because there's a lot to wrap your hands around when it comes to Medicare, and just really understanding it is key.
Yeah, and I mean, you talk about it in a simplistic term, but I really want to spend a moment and talk about that a little bit further where, you mentioned a husband and wife. One wants to take a certain type of plan and the other one wants to go the other way. And, I just come into a situation a few weeks ago where same situation where the husband has a little bit more, he has some medical needs that need to be attended to,
Right.
where the wife is a little bit healthier. And they're going to mix and match plans as well because, the dollar only goes so far when you're in retirement because you're living off of fixed incomes typically. But you want to make sure you're not, cut any corners with your coverage, especially with Medicare, because it's very easy to make a mistake.
And there's so many people that I've run into, throughout this past year of being with MediConnect that maybe they worked with somebody else before and they didn't know something was an option. And now they feel that they made a mistake when they came onto their Medicare. So we're also trying to help them unwind those mistakes. And that can get very complex. So again, starting it off from the gate is really extremely important to understand what you're enrolling in, why you're enrolling it, and why you need the certain type of coverage that you need and it's going to be beneficial to you. Because like you said, there's, trying to cut dollar spend, but also what's your health? What are the different factors going into it? And it might warrant a higher spend if you have those situations.
And, Medicare planning I say, is just as important as your financial planning.
Mm-hmm.
When you're about to enter into retirement, because a mistake with your Medicare planning can cost you thousands. And, working with MediConnect, one of the benefits that we have here is, we're fully unbiased. We're the top rated service here in the state of Pennsylvania, but that unbiased viewpoint really can help us because we work with all of the major carriers here in southwestern Pennsylvania. So, we have the full menu of options available to make sure that you're thriving with your health care.
That's absolutely correct because all plans are not created equal. When you go look at a formulary, which gives the list of prescription drugs that are covered by the plan, all formularies are not created equal.
Correct.
So there's been so many times in this past year where I've sat down with somebody, they're excited about this plan that their neighbor talked to them or their sister. Just because your neighbor and your sister chose it doesn't mean it's the fit for you. And when we put everything in and take a look at things, wow, I can save you $2,500 a year on this plan over here that you would have spent there. Again, the plans just really have to match you. That's really important. They're not all created equal and they're not all created to fit everyone. So it has to fit your needs.
There is no perfect plan, right?
Right.
So when we come back after this break, we're going to talk a little bit more about what you should be doing this summer to, really plan for the enrollment period ahead, or some things that you really need to pay attention to right now that you can make adjustments with. If you have questions, call the number on the screen, or you can go to MediConnectInsurance.com.
Medicare is confusing and a little scary.
Plan B, Part B,
HMO, PPO. I feel lost.
Whether you're just starting Medicare or currently on Medicare, you're faced with critical decisions each year. Questions like, do I need a Medicare plan? Is my current coverage still my best option? Will I still be able to see my doctors? I'm Brian Breisinger with MediConnect, the area's premier independent healthcare advisory firm. We can help avoid costly pitfalls today and in the future. We can meet with you in person or over the phone. Choose an expert in your community.
MediConnect walked us through everything.
Best of all, it didn't cost us anything.
That's right. Our licensed experts can offer unbiased advice on all of your healthcare options at no cost to you.
MediConnect is a great organization.
MediConnect, bridging the healthcare gap. For no-cost advice, call 888-818-MEDI or go to MediConnectInsurance.com.
And we are back with the Inside Connection powered by MediConnect. Once again, I am Sean Horn, your host this week. And, we decided to give Lance O'Brien, our Chief Executive Officer, the week off. He's one of the hardest working people in the Medicare industry. So hopefully he's enjoying this weekend. But, wanted to bring on one of the freshest faces and brightest stars of the Medicare industry, which Lauren Yuran, I'm thrilled to have with me. And, we spent a lot of time in the first segment talking about the summertime being a lull in the Medicare industry for most. But here, the MediConnect is quite different as we're out there helping a lot of people along. And, we're blessed to have these 5-star plans available in our region because not every county in America has that availability. And thankfully, we have 2 different companies to pick from when it comes to having that accessibility. But they do a great job talking about having them, but they don't really spend a lot of time talking about your rights and how you can actually participate within them. So, I want to spend a little bit of time, again, talking about what we should be looking ahead to in these summer months. Again, looking forward to the enrollment period ahead of us or what's taking place right now. So, Lauren, let's start with who should be calling us right now related to their Medicare needs, if there's some unhappiness. So what are some areas that you're identifying that people are reaching out to us right now?
A big one is folks in the state of Pennsylvania that maybe are eligible for PACE or PACENet,
Okay.
or if you're a veteran and you have the VA benefit. We actually have 5-star MA only plans, and
Wow.
we've been really helping a lot of folks.
So what does
Not-
that mean?
So the 5-star plans that we have available to us, that allows you to enroll one time throughout the year outside of one of those enrollment windows, like an annual enrollment period,
So simply put, anytime you want, really.
anytime you want.
Okay.
And an MA only plan is a plan that doesn't contain prescription drug coverage. So the thing is, you have to have credible prescription drug coverage, or of course the government's going to slap you with one of those penalties for not having prescription drug coverage. However, folks that have a VA benefit, that is considered credible drug coverage. And then also PACE and PACENet through the state of Pennsylvania is considered credible drug coverage as well. So we've been seeing these folks where we can change them throughout the year and get them some coverage. And maybe it's not even a change, maybe it's adding to. If you just have VA and you want a little bit extra benefit for maybe a zero premium, those things are things that we can help tackle. Then, the 5-star plans in general, like you had stated, we're able to review plans and change you if you need to, really, again, at any time. And this has been something really neat because in my career of about 12 years, these past 2 years have been the only years that we've had this 5-star option. Like you said, it's not something that's readily available out there. And this can really help someone that hasn't assessed their needs, or, maybe even the last annual enrollment period, you didn't review your plan and maybe you had a medication change. I had a consumer I was helping actually where they called, we put them on a plan for annual enrollment period for January 1st, called me in February, got a new medication prescribed. It was extremely expensive, and we were able to take a look and find another option that covered that medication a little bit better. So your health care changes throughout the year. Maybe you need to review, what your coverage is because something got expensive or something's not being covered in the way that your coverage was working before.
Or another case in point where something pops up in the middle of the year, like you need a dental procedure, and the current plan you have right now doesn't have a lot of dental benefits, perhaps.
Absolutely.
We see that a lot, actually, right?
We do.
And your needs could change based off of the fact that, like, you have a surgery. Physical therapy is coming up. Your current plan right now has a $20-$30 per visit physical therapy copay, where there are plans out there that are much less expensive. So it's really worth digging into to make sure that you're really, again, maximizing on this opportunity, thriving with your Medicare coverage, because it is actually quite possible to do so right now.
Absolutely. And again, we really haven't had this opportunity in years past besides last year. So this is a wonderful opportunity where, again, we're able to help more people because, we have all year to do it.
And I'm actually going to go on record to say, and we've been very passionate about saying this on the radio for the last 3-4 years, where, if you're on a Medicare Advantage plan and you're paying more than $35 a month, you're very likely paying too much for your coverage. Oftentimes, you're going to be able to get very similar benefits to your more expensive plan at a cheaper rate per month without losing any benefits. Oftentimes, you're actually able to gain accessibility and gain coverage by making that change. And all you're doing is saving money along the way. You might not even have to change your carrier along the way, right?
Yes, we have carriers that have plan options where they have extremely expensive plans that have been in the market for years, and they're offering plans at a much lower premium that, again, maximize on more robust benefits and other copays that you're not getting on the current plan.
And to make that comparison a little bit further, it's kind of like when you're shopping for a new cell phone provider or cable provider with the internet and so forth, where basically, when you're a new customer, they roll the red carpet out for you, right?
Yes.
The lower rates, the Netflix for a year, all these other things that you get. But then as soon as you get comfortable with that coverage, you see that the price starts going up. You don't get as much anymore, right?
Sean, I did that exact thing. I've had my Comcast, for over 7 years, hadn't reviewed my plan. It was creeping up in cost. And I went online the one day, and there was a package, $60 a month cheaper with 25 more channels. Nothing changed. I got more channels, but that's what we can do for your Medicare.
Very, very easy to do. So moving on from there, just very quickly, we did a little research in-house here and come to find that over the next 12 months, there's approximately 50,000 people that are going to be newly eligible for Medicare by turning 65 years old. 50,000 people are going to be newly eligible for Medicare. And, we've been engaging with them, many of them, over the last year through one of our different channels. Again, some people are calling directly from our radio show saying, hey, how can you help me? Some of them are coming to our seminars. Some of them are just requesting individual appointments. Others are handling it over the phone through our Medicare-approved internal call center. Any way that you want to go, we can easily accommodate you. But, really, with that process of people getting onto Medicare, we often say that you've never been more popular in your life than when you're about to turn 65. Talk about that madness a little bit.
Yes. So, I know even my own father was getting some calls and, he's getting ready for that Medicare age. And he's like, Lauren, why are they calling me? Don't they know who you are? And I'm like, Dad, you're going to be more popular than you've ever been. The mailers are coming. The phone calls are coming. I had an appointment yesterday. This lady was turning 65 and she's like, why am I getting all these calls and all this mail? And I was like, well, the good news is you're working with us, so you can throw that mail away. You don't have to worry about it. We can show you any of those plans. So that was one thing, that was definitely positive. But, in regards to also how many people are turning 65 in this region, Allegheny County specifically is one of the largest Medicare eligible counties in the nation. So with that being said, there's a high demand here. And you were talking a little bit about how those plans are competitive. And a lot of times I go into a house and somebody's like, how can these plans be this competitive? Why is it, less money and more benefit to me? What's going on? It's because this market, again, there's a huge market here available. So everybody wants to be a part of that, and their competition drives benefits. And it's, a good market to be in compared to other places in the country. There's a lot of options for you. But again, with a lot of options can come a lot of confusion, comes all that mail, comes all those phone calls, right? So we want to help dig through all that and make it a little bit easier for you to understand and digest, because there's a lot out there and everybody's vying for your attention.
And especially if you don't want to be fielding a lot of these phone calls or getting a lot of this mail, I think we have a pretty big pointer here that we can provide to you to make sure that you're not, victimized by this just barrage of information and attempts to contact you, which is the first one being, when you see those commercials with Joe Namath or the other Hollywood stars or former pro athletes that are talking Medicare, when you call into that phone number, unfortunately, you're calling a marketer, just a call center that is effectively going to sell your information to an agency that is just going to, you're going to get a litany of phone calls, a litany of information, and, you end up on the radar that way. So whenever you fill out that information online or you make that phone call, it just opens the floodgates, right? It
absolutely does. And again, like you're stating, now you've given kind of, in a roundabout way, them permission to contact. So you've opened this floodgate and they're going to call and call and call and send mail, and, they might not be local either. So correct. Like I was talking about, this market, there's a huge opportunity, but something different in our marketplace is there's local and national carriers, which doesn't exist in every market nationally either. So you really want to make sure you're working with somebody that knows the scope of the land, that knows the way of the land, that knows the provider networks and, all that good stuff. We're right here in your backyard. Myself, all of the agents were, road warriors here in Western Pennsylvania, just kind of going through. But odds are either we live in your neighborhood or we worked with a client in your neighborhood. So we're a part of that community as well.
Yeah, I mean, we know how tough it is to park in Shady Side to get to some of these facilities, right? And,
yes.
And how difficult it is downtown or in the South Side with all the one-way streets and whatnot. So we live here. We get it. We understand. I would also say that, it's as we wrap up this episode in the coming moments here, and again, we're in the summertime, I think another thing that we should be paying attention to during these summer months is how is your healthcare working for you currently so you can plan ahead? Your medication costs, what are they looking like for you? Your co-pays, what you're paying. I would start to get that homework down, during this downtime, if you will, where you're not being inundated with information and phone calls, to really make sure that as you plan ahead, you're really, again, taking full advantage of the opportunities ahead of you.
Full advantage of the opportunities ahead of you. And again, there's a large amount of benefits available to you out there. So let's kind of get all that information together. Let's take a look. And yes, it's a good thing to pre-plan, if you're looking to be coming on board to Medicare within the next couple of years, let's take a look and let's see how, these plans can benefit you, but also they're going to change a little bit and your health might change by the time we get there. So just staying in that constant in the know is going to benefit you enormously by the time you get onto Medicare.
And again, MediConnect is the top-rated Medicare advisory firm in the state of Pennsylvania. And best yet, our services have no cost attached whatsoever. Never a fee. There's no cost, no obligation. We just want to provide good information so you can make clear and confident decisions with your healthcare. And if you would like to engage with us and get some questions answered, you can go ahead and call the phone number on the screen there, 888-818-6334. Write it down for future use if needed. You can also go to our website, MediConnectInsurance.com. You can now find us. If you missed an episode previously or you want to catch up on this one, parts that you might have missed, you can go to our YouTube channel by searching for MediConnect Insurance. And you can also engage via Facebook by searching us at MediConnect PGH. A lot of different ways to engage with us. And again, we want to make sure that we're easy to reach. We're always out in the communities to make sure that we're providing this information. And again, I don't think you're going to find too many people working harder than us to make sure that our region is educated. So once again, this has been the Inside Connection podcast. I'm Sean Horn, great friend Lauren Yuran, and thank you for joining us this week.